I think I'll always be finding something new that I want to do.
There are certain names in the rap industry that absolutely stand out when you hear them, for one reason or another. You think of Ice Cube, Tupac, Dr. Dre, Biggie Smalls, Eminem, and also 50 Cent. In many ways, 50 Cent was never supposed to go and be the next big rapper in the game. But he got that way because he was able to overcome lots of adversity and meet the right people to go and excel him to superstardom, and then allow himself to go into business for himself. And he's still making waves in his own way today. So allow us to show you 50 Cent, then and now. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. The early times and struggles of 50 Cent. There's a belief that many of the best rappers had terrible childhoods. And honestly, that's correct more times than not. For one Curtis Jackson III, he was born in 1975 in Queens in a Jamaican neighborhood. That in and of itself is not a bad thing, but his parental situation wasn't that good. His father wasn't in his life, and his mother was a drug dealer, and that led to her going and dying when Jackson was just 8 years old, leaving him to be raised by his grandmother. At first, he found himself with a positive way of letting out his anger as he took up boxing. When I wasn't killing time in school, I was sparring in the gym or selling crack on the strip, Jackson remembered. I was competitive in the ring, and hip-hop is competitive too. I think rappers condition themselves like boxers, so they all kind of feel like they're the champ, which is honestly a pretty cool comparison when you think about it. However, he had other issues that he had to take care of because despite not even being 16 yet, he was already dealing drugs, as well as bringing and selling guns at his high school. He was arrested after being caught by the metal detectors. After that arrest and another one, he was supposed to go to jail for up to 9 years. But he got lucky and did a boot camp where he also earned his GED and realized the truth about himself, which led to the nickname of 50 Cent, because it was a reference to how he would provide for himself by any means. Early days in rap. Music was already a part of 50 Cent's life, but eventually he started to record tracks in his friend's basement. After a while, he was introduced to a person at a record label who helped him learn how to be a true rapper. Jackson's first appearance was on React with Onyx for their 1998 album Shut 'Em Down. He credited Jam Master Jay for improving his ability to write hooks. He started to make music and even did an unreleased album before going and joining Columbia Records. In 2 weeks with them, he made 36 songs, which is a lot in a short amount of time to be clear, and that led him to making his own label with Hollow Point Entertainment. Through certain tracks like How to Rob, 50 Cent found himself getting a lot of attention from the right kind of rap fans. But it also attracted the wrong kind of attention, because on May 24th, 2000, while at his grandmother's house in the car by the front lawn, he was shot 9 times point blank, and somehow survived because of where he got hit. Jackson recalled the shooting. It happened so fast that you don't even get a chance to shoot back. I was scared the whole time. I was looking in the rearview mirror like, oh shit, somebody shot me in the face. It burns, burns, burns. After I got shot 9 times at close range and didn't die, I started to think that I must have a purpose in life. How much more damage could that shell have done? Give me an inch in this direction or that one, and I'm gone. Despite his survival and new feeling on life, he was soon blacklisted by the US music labels after some controversial song creations. But he kept going. He built up his brand and his fan base, and eventually, he would find a duo that wouldn't be afraid to work with him. Get rich or die trying. In the music world, as in life, it's not always what you know, or even who you know, it's about who finds out about you. 50 Cent had been making music for a while, and yet was only making certain amounts of headway. And then, in 2002, a man by the name of Eminem heard one of the CDs that 50 Cent had produced, and realized that he had a lot of talent. So Eminem got 50 to go and meet the man who helped create Eminem's style and tracks, Dr. Dre. After working with him on a mixtape, the three came together to make one of the most acclaimed and hyped music albums in rap history, in Get Rich or Die Tryin'. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling 872,000 copies in its first 4 days. In March 2005, 50 Cent's second commercial album, The Massacre, sold 1.14 million copies in its first 4 days, and was on top of the charts for 6 straight weeks. Because of his success, he was given his own label within Interscope Records, owned by Dr. Dre, and he used it to sign a whole bunch of new artists, some of whom still exist today. And as his confidence grew, he decided to go and branch out. Business ventures. While many rappers are more than content with just making their own music or helping producing others, 50 Cent was one who realized that he could be more and make more by going and diversifying his holdings and doing all sorts of unique business ventures. In fact, despite some setbacks that we'll talk about, he is respected as a businessman. For example, one of the first businesses he invested in was an enhanced water company, basically making better tasting water, and 50 Cent himself became a partner in that business. So, when Coca-Cola went and bought that business for $4.1 billion, 50 Cent got $100 million out of the deal. You might also know that he is someone who likes to produce, not just music, but other visual media, like television shows, including the ones he's most known for via the Starz series Power, which had a very long run and even has a sequel series going on right now. He also went and did charity work, even starting up an initiative to go and give food to 1 billion starving people in Africa by a certain time. That's not something you'd expect from a rapper like 50 Cent, but he wanted to do it. That being said, bankruptcy. Yeah, while you can absolutely go and say that 50 Cent is a smart businessman, he absolutely sucks when it comes to spending his personal wealth, including buying a huge mansion that was so over the top he literally couldn't sell it because no one would buy it from him, not even at discounted prices. He even had to go and file for bankruptcy, which backfired because he was denied and had to work out a plan to go and pay back the millions that he owed. He did it, but it was a pain. In truth, thanks to his business holdings and investments, he should be worth hundreds of millions right now. But because of how he spends his money, not so much. Feud with Ja Rule. One of the more enduring and entertaining elements of 50 Cent's life by far is the fact that he has an eternal feud with fellow rapper Ja Rule. These two plain don't like each other, and they have been feuding for literal decades, with no signs of slowing down. 50 Cent even brought in Eminem one time for a diss track on Ja Rule that was so savage, it was declared one of the greatest diss tracks of all time. At one point, he even bought out tickets to a Ja Rule concert that was right in front of the stage just so Ja Rule could see the empty seats. That's cold. And odd because that means he gave money to Ja Rule, but whatever. Legacy of 50 Cent. So what will 50 Cent be remembered for? Well, he'll be remembered as a rapper who had some really impactful music. He'll be known as a controversial figure because of what he rapped about, how he handled his life and his business and the various things that he's done that we honestly aren't going to mention. He'll be known as a man who branched out and became a businessman, an actor, a creator, and more. And he's somewhat of an inspirational tale because he was a kid heading nowhere and now he's worth millions. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at 50 Cent and how he went from a kid fighting off arrests to one of the top rappers in the game, and then a successful businessman in his own right? Can you believe the roller coaster ride that 50 Cent has been on? What parts of this story are the wildest in your eyes? Do you think he still has more to give? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.